Okay, welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the Services Delegated Committee. Before we commence the meeting, I request please that all mobile phones are turned off or switched to silent. Thank you. My name is Councillor Di Gillies and I chair this committee. I will start by introducing my fellow councillors. Seated to my left at the horseshoe table in the chamber are Councillor Jim Park, Councillor Nick Stavrou, Councillor Wes Galt, our Mayor Councillor Felicity Sinfield, and on the other side we have Councillor Hollingsworth, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Gary Thompson, Councillor Jane Addis, Councillor Susan Bigger and Councillor Victor Franco. I also acknowledge our CEO, Mr Philip Storer, to my right, and our coordinator of governance, Ms Kirsten Ritchie, to my left. There are other officers in attendance tonight and they will be introduced as required. Now, a general introduction. The purpose of the Services Delegated Committee is to deal with matters relating to the provision of human and physical services and council's infrastructure. For those in the gallery presenting tonight, when we come to your agenda, and I believe we have one presented tonight, you'll be introduced by an officer. I will then call the one person to come forward and address council. I would ask you to sit at the top of the horseshoe table and I will invite you to speak for or against the officer's recommendation. When making a submission, you're requested to present your viewpoint clearly and concisely on why you agree or disagree with the proposal. You may suggest. Thank you. Now, item 1 on the agenda. Adoption and confirmation of the minutes of the Services Delegated Committee meeting held on the 11th of September 2023. Can I have a motion to adopt those minutes, please, councillors? Yes, but we didn't have any. I'm sorry, our screen's not telling us who came up in order, but I'm pretty sure I saw Councillor Hollingsworth lights first. Is that correct?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Happy to adopt the minutes as circulated.
Thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Stavrou?
Happy to second it.
Thank you. Thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Stavrou?
Happy to second it.
Thank you. I put that motion to the vote. That's unanimous. Thank you. I declare the motion carried. Item 2, declaration of conflict of interest of any councillors or council officers. Are there any conflicts of interest that need to be foreshadowed for matters on the agenda tonight, please? I don't see any indications of any, so we'll proceed. Oops, our screen has scrolled all the way around. Presentation of officer reports. 3.1, the 2023-24 annual community strengthening grants allocations. Officer Fiona Brown will be presenting. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair, $318,185 from Council and a contribution of $216,400 from the Rotary Club of Balwyn. The 23-24 small grants have been processed and $131,459 was allocated in July 2023, leaving $403,124 available for the 23-24 annual grants. 87 applications were received and full or partial funding totalling $393,267 is recommended for 78 applications. All recommended allocations, including project summaries, are listed in attachment 2. Officers recommend that the remaining funds of $9,838 from the annual grants be rolled over to next year's annual grants round. Funding for the Climate Action Plan grants is allocated from the 23-24 $1 million budget for the Climate Action Plan. There was one application for the Climate Action Plan grants, and this was recommended for full funding of $9,951.90. This recommended allocation, including the project summary, is in attachment 4. So the recommendations before you are up on the screen, and they are firstly to endorse the 23-24 annual community strengthening grants as listed in attachment 2, annexed to your report. Secondly, to endorse the 23-24 Climate Action Plan grant as listed in Attachment 4, annexed to your report. And thirdly, to roll over the remaining funds of $9,000.
The 3-1, which gives certain help to some people. The question I want to ask, which really struck me, you have one award, if I'm correct, to a climate person who did something for the climate, and I would love to know what he did, and if he does a good thing, should be increased. And what award belongs to, that's the first one, reason I'm here. Second, Burundarabs or whatever, Horton East has a very nice Anderson Park. And for 20 years, under Ross, which has 4 or 5 mandates, the walking track is still unsealed.
Excuse me.
I know.
Mr. Villa,
would be money well spent.
Thank you. I just need to remind you that speaking to us in a presentation now needs to relate to the item on the agenda, which is the community strengthening
so
grants.
I want an answer to my question.
And we will get the officers to address that in a minute. So is that all you wanted to say at this?
Sorry, I cannot hear what you say.
Is that completing what you wanted to say to us?
I want to know the guy or person with the climate, maybe he deserves more. I'm not sure what he did for the climate or what he does or will do.
And
that's very important to me.
Thank you. That will be answered in a moment. You still have a little... Your question is about to be addressed. Would you like to stay there and listen to the answer? I think it's easy. All right. All right. I think Mr. Freer was going to answer the question. Is that right? Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. The applicant for the Climate Action Grant was the Electrify Burundara Alliance, and the funding is requested to engage, just reading from the project description, funding is requested to engage, encourage and support the Burundara community to improve the energy efficiency of their homes and climate change resilience, as well as reduce their carbon emissions and energy costs. The key steps of the project are to provide the knowledge to assess home energy efficiency opportunities, increase awareness to electrification opportunities, including rooftop, photovoltaic and getting off gas, and workshopping practical and low-cost activities to improve home comfort and energy efficiency. The application was for $9,951.90 and was paid responded to in full.
Thank you, Mr. Freer. That concludes the response at this time. Thank you, Mr. Billy. You may return to the gallery. I don't believe there were any other outstanding matters. Are you happy with that? All right. Thank you, councillors. We're in search of a motion.
Then for you, Mr. Freer, and that is, obviously it's the first year, but we've only had one applicant, which presumably we might expect more than one applicant. Is there any thinking about how we might change our approach to maybe getting the word out or ensuring that plenty of people across the community know that these exist?
Through you, Madam Chair, the Climate Action Plan implementation plan's got a series of initiatives for community engagement as part of that. We will review, particularly around grants, given it is a low number of applicants to the program at this point in time, but nonetheless it is part of the adopted plan at this point in time.
Thank you.
Does that exhaust our questions? All right, we'll go back to Councillor Sinfield. Were you looking to put a motion?
Yeah, absolutely. The officer's recommendation, please.
Thank you. And Councillor Stavrou, are you looking to second that?
I am, thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone in opposition to this motion? Good. All right. Councillor Sinfield, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Chair. Just briefly, I think the motion speaks for itself, and Ms Brown has eloquently encapsulated all things grant-related. So I commend the officers for their assessment of these applications and thank the councillors and community members also on our review panel, and commend the motion to my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stavrou, did you want to add anything?
I won't say much, apart from echoing the words that Councillor
This opportunity to thank the many, many people who were involved in putting it together over many, many months. I know there was a lot of very late nights work to get it together, coming to a culmination of 80 volunteers yesterday supporting the event. There was an immense number of talks and question and answer sessions. There were more than 50 stalls with manufacturers providing advice and displays, and those the moment we were hanging out for was to see how many came through the door, and I'm reliably advised it passed 1,000. So it exceeded the expectations of the group, so I'd like to thank all who were involved working in that. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Gold. Item 5, any items of urgent business? No. Item 6, any items of confidential business? No. Thank you very much. That brings us to closure of the meeting. Before I close the meeting, I want to thank all who have joined us this evening, both live streaming and in the gallery, and I declare the Services Delegated Committee meeting closed. Thank you very much.